It is a true pleasure and a privilege to be here, and I would like to start by thanking the organizers for this opportunity, but also congratulating the organizers for putting together an event such as this one, promoting innovation and market access opportunities for products stemming from the region and beyond. I will be building, in fact, on many of the principles and the statements made by Professor Aman. I'm always challenged with these, so I'm just gonna, get the hang of it. Yes, okay, so I know where I'm going now. Perfect. I'm gonna be reiterating some of the same foundations and the same observations at the beginning, and that is a fact: Asia today, and particularly the ASEAN region, is at the forefront of food innovation. We are witnessing across the region an unprecedented level of investment in food technologies, in the availability of functional ingredients, in the development of bioactive compounds, and also we're looking at the development of a new generation of sustainable food production systems. We're also seeing in this region one of the greatest competitive advantage that was mentioned by Aman as well, which is a rich heritage amongst the richest around the world, a heritage of traditional knowledge, of food cultures that continues to inspire. Thai traditional foods and traditional therapies, Chinese traditional therapies, and I can actually quote so many of those across the region. Now, many of these ingredients that are anchored in heritage are attracting scientific and commercial interest. And we are again looking at the tradition to inspire these developments. Now, as Aman mentioned as well, modern science is helping these traditional ingredients becoming better characterized, better refined. And we are looking at incorporating them more and more in new food applications. And this is really not because, it's a simple inspiration, because there is a demand for that. Consumers are becoming more health conscious and are asking for these new applications, whether it be to address their health and wellness objectives, to address sustainability objectives, or to be more personalized and more targeted in what they wish to have through their food. So, in fact, when we look at the innovation ecosystem in the region, it is one of the most vibrant and most dynamic internationally. So the challenge that we're facing is not lack of innovation, it's not lack of scientific capacity, and it's neither also lack of entrepreneurial ambition. The challenge that is being faced by innovators is essentially access to markets. And when we say access to markets, it's mostly that predictability of access to markets and the efficiency to get to those markets. Now, when we're looking at a company working in this field and commercializing these ingredients, you will be looking that this company will be facing various regulatory requirements, different data expectation, different review processes, and also different timelines. And the timelines, by the way, are not days or months, they tend to be years. So an ingredient that may be accepted in one jurisdiction can face significant barriers in another, and these barriers create uncertainties, they create increased costs, and as you know, investment hates one thing: uncertainty. So this actually leads to slow investment and ultimately will also result in delaying consumers' access to these safe and beneficial solutions and innovations. So for this reason, the discussion that we're having, and including whether it be for these ingredients or the claims that are associated with them, so essentially the way these products are characterized to consumers, it's not about fostering innovation itself. It is about creating the conditions that allow innovations to move more efficiently from the laboratory, from the production facility to the marketplace. In other words, our challenge is not innovation, it is primarily access. Now, to give examples of the hurdles, and I already actually spoke about some of these, I mentioned, that for a particular ingredient or even a claim associated with it, you will have different categorizations, different definitions. An ingredient that is considered in some jurisdictions as conventional in one market, it will be considered novel in another market. A health claim that is considered as not warranting pre-market oversight in one market will be warranting extensive substantiation requirement in another market. And we are witnessing the same type of diversity in the safety assessment approaches. We're looking at various requirements of toxicological data, various levels of evidence that may be sought, different forms of scientific substantiation, and the review timelines, as I mentioned, also vary considerably. In some systems, you have a relatively predictable environment. In some others, you will have lengthy evaluations and, in many instances, uncertain outcomes. Now, the consequences of this are quite significant. We are having regulatory complexity, we're having higher developmental costs, and again, delayed market access. So ultimately, we find ourselves in a situation where, again, if I take the examples, one ingredient supported by the same body of evidence, the same scientific information, would be approved successfully in one market, yet not accessible at all or partially considered in another market. And this is a challenge definitely for industry, but that's also a challenge for regulators. Because if you have a regulatory regime that is not flexible enough, even for the regulators themselves, you are spending resources on things that may not warrant that level of attention. And that's essentially not the best investment of taxpayers' dollars when you have so many priorities that you need to address. So essentially, it is also a challenge for rationalizing or using rationally the regulatory resources that are available. Now, of course, there aren't only problems. There are definitely solutions. And amongst the solutions that we are witnessing are actually anchored in this country, in Thailand. We have witnessed the development of a number of initiatives bringing together a coalition of partners and stakeholders that are trying to alleviate these hurdles. And I would like to mention specifically the Food Innovation Regulation Network, or FERN, inspired and led by our president-elect of IOFOST, Professor Pavini Shinashoti, and supported by many actors in the country, established in Thailand and actually clearly demonstrated a value in bringing together regulators, food science community, the industry, and the variety of stakeholders to create this dialogue, but also to support the availability of the scientific information on the basis of which these regulatory decisions can be made and hopefully support these market access opportunities. Now, building on this initiative and considering now the region, ASEAN, and even broader Asia as a continent, we thought, why not try to see how we can build an initiative at the continent level? And this is what Professor Aman was mentioning earlier. Over a month and a bit ago, we got together in Hong Kong, and not to reinvent the wheel, in fact, rather to build on the momentum that was created by a number of initiatives that are underway in the continent, and trying to develop an effort that can speed up a more innovation-ready environment for Asia's innovators, particularly in the food production sector. Now, our goal is to identify and better characterize those hurdles, and to try to put some solutions, but try to be also more concrete in what we try to address. We have identified primarily the need to offer a better environment for functional ingredients, and particularly those that are rooted in traditional knowledge, their safety assessment, the substantiation of that safety assessment, but also the substantiation of the claims that are associated with these ingredients being incorporated into food formulations. We're looking primarily at the non-nutrient claims associated with these ingredients, and we also discuss the opportunity of building on what has happened already in the continent and building on the successes of some jurisdiction trying to propagate that success. Now, as we say, a picture or a set of pictures may be better than words, so I'm going to have like a short video introducing this initiative. It is a YouTube video there, a few minutes. What I would like simply to mention is that since that video was produced, many other partners actually joined this initiative, so I would not want to restrict those who are intervening there, and I would like to mention particularly ILSI Southeast Asia as a key partner that is supporting us in this effort, but also to mention many more academic centers with whom we wish to collaborate.
Asia is transforming centuries-old traditional ingredients into modern, health-focused products. But with innovation comes a critical challenge. How do we ensure these products are safe, their claims substantiated, and that they can reach consumers efficiently across different markets? Today, innovators face varying rules on novelty, diverse approval processes, and inconsistent approaches to health claims. What's approved in one country may face years of evaluation in another. That's why leading organizations across Asia are launching a groundbreaking initiative, a collaborative platform to support innovation-ready regulatory systems, fully aligned with Codex principles. Led by GFoRSS, Fern Thailand, Shanghai JS Life Science Institute, and Sun Yat-sen University Hong Kong, we're bringing together scientific organizations, ensuring methodological rigor, food regulators validating approaches, industry and SMEs reflecting innovation realities, academia supporting evidence generation. Because no single stakeholder can address food innovation's complexity alone. Our approach is built on 3 pillars. Pillar 1, consensus regional guidance. Codex consistent guidance on safety assessment, claims substantiation, and novelty triggers. Pillar 2, collaborative scientific assessments. Multi-country evaluation generating consensus documents and supporting faster decision-making. Pillar 3, information sharing platform. A digital platform providing access to guidance, assessments, and ingredient data, supporting transparency and knowledge exchange. We're partnering with food science and technology organizations across Asia, acting as catalysts to engage regulators, academic institutions, and industry organizations, including food ingredient developers, all with one goal: to support access to innovative food products while protecting consumers and meeting their expectations. These partnerships ensure our work remains aligned with national requirements, responsive to markets, and grounded in practical implementation. We aim to contribute to Asia's leadership in shaping an innovation-friendly food regulatory environment in Asia and beyond. This initiative is about building shared scientific understanding, aligning on principles and methodologies, enabling practical cooperation across borders, leading to faster access to safe innovation, stronger regulatory efficiency, and Asia leading the global future of food innovation. Together, we're creating a framework that enables innovation while ensuring safety, transparency, and consumer confidence. Because when we collaborate, we don't just regulate innovation, we enable it.
So, one of the key elements that I would like to mention here is that this is a journey, and it's going to be a long journey, but we are using this journey with multiple milestones. In fact, this is one of them. This is an opportunity to share, to engage, and even actually hopefully to recruit partners and collaborators in this particular effort. As I mentioned, this is meant to be an inclusive initiative, and I would like to also make an open call for those who want to join us in this effort to continue to engage with us. Anybody from the leadership of FERN, of FOSTAT, of FIFSTA, of IOFOST, and of the Global Food Regulatory Science Society can be your contact point, and you can be joining us in this effort. We're also going to be dedicating a specific discussion during the upcoming World Food Congress, which is going to be a major milestone, where we're going to be taking stock of what happened in the past 6 months. So you see, our timelines are 6 months limited, in the sense that we would like to see progress taking place. Speaking of those 3 pillars and what we decided to do about them, and giving you maybe more specific illustrations of what we intend to accomplish even in a short period of time. Under pillar 1, what we call regulatory guidance, we would like to create more consistency in the requirements. So for example, what should a dossier for a health claim substantiation look like? Can we build, for example, on the guidance that was developed by the Southeast Asia Nutrition Society on health claims substantiation, and can we adopt that? Can we apply or see the application of that on some pilot products? And in that regard, pillar 2 is meant to be illustrating some examples in that regard. So it was decided by the community of scientists that gathered in Hong Kong a month and a bit ago to take 2 examples on which collaborative work will be developed. One of them is on an ingredient that actually represents that partial or that discrepancy in approvals, that's GABA, approved in Japan, with different types of approval in Thailand and not approved at all in other Asian jurisdictions. We've also identified another ingredient, and in this case more rooted in tradition, and that is goji berry, which is essentially a product from which we can extract so many potential derivatives, widely available in China, and look at the initial information both from a safety assessment but also from a health claim substantiation. The third pillar is aimed to address one of the key imperatives and the challenges that was identified. In many instances, information is available, but it's not accessible and it's not usable. Potentially because it is available in one particular language, so for example in Japanese, in Chinese, or in Thai, therefore not necessarily easily accessible to regulators across the continent. And in some other instances because the information is not collated in a manner that is consistent and harmonious. And can we actually create an agreed upon template for this information? In fact, since the work has started, or I would say maybe more catalyzed by the discussions that we've had, we've witnessed, for example, sharing from colleagues from Indonesia through the leadership of the Institute of Food Technologists of the development of a platform looking at disseminating the information related to the safety assessment as well as the substantiation of claims. So these are some practical examples of what we are trying to achieve under these 3 pillars. Now, I know that I have only a few minutes left, so what I would like to mention is the linkages with Codex. So, now, of course, in this particular case, we are using Codex guidance and particularly the risk analysis principles as the decision-making framework and the logical framework according to which all our work will be developed. But also this work has been anchored in Codex from the start, in the sense that this work was inspired, in fact, by another discussion that started in this country. So in fact, in August of last year, we met and we identified food innovation, and particularly transformation of regulatory frameworks to enable food innovation as one of the key challenges that perhaps Asia as a continent could work on, with the possibility of Codex offering more guidance around that. And a discussion paper was introduced by China, supported by IOFOST, at the last meeting of CC Asia, that is the FAO-WHO Coordinating Committee for Asia, for those who are not so familiar with the Codex acronyms. Basically, CC Asia discussed what was included in the discussion paper, and what was included was to say, well, again, we have a huge potential in Asia for innovation, but there may be a need for guidance that is anchored in Codex, including the propagation of Codex principles in the way innovative ingredients and claims could be addressed. Now, CC Asia did not make a decision about this, rather highlighted the interest and directed the members to further investigate and to identify what, if anything, Codex could do more, including at the regional level. So one of the outputs of the initiative that we started is also to identify what type of guidance can be better codified in Codex texts and can be provided to Asian food regulators. In other words, if I'm a regulator and I'm interested in developing a functional food regulation, a health claim regulation, where do I start from? What are the risk-based approaches that I should be considering? Should I consider all claims equivalent? How do I apply a risk lens on the substantiation? And of course, there are all the practical aspects associated with that. Now, I hope that through this illustration, I shared with you what we have been trying to do. And I know time is up, but I'm going to actually maybe indulge you with a very short video to give you the outputs of the Hong Kong meeting, to give you the future direction. 2 minutes, if you indulge me with that. And thank you very much for your attention, by the way.
The question is, in the different regulatory systems, the approval for new ingredients, in particular, those new functional ingredients, is very different from each other.
This will be very important for the general population and help them to understand the usefulness of these traditional ingredients, how they can use it in their daily diet, in the traditional diet, how the consumption of these on a regular pattern can help in maintaining health, improving health. Approval by the regulatory authorities give them confidence of the science for these kinds of traditional ingredients.
We look forward to having so many organizations that potentially will be involved with us, including IOFOSS, GFoRSS, and GFoRSS as Global Food Innovation Regulation Network, which will actually be spearheading these concepts, hopefully will grow around the world.
I think we have done a great job. We made a lot of progress in these discussions, and I think we have come to a great conclusion.
This will be a very fruitful project for Asian countries, not only for consumer health protection, but also for the development of the food ingredient industry.
A good platform for discussion among scientists, regulators, and also food industry in making good progress in this effort.
We think it's time that Asia must have a great way of managing and championing our own commodity functional ingredient and products through innovation and with a clear view of regulatory framework in order to make sure that we have scientific basis, it's evidence-based for safety and also health claim and communication to consumers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And another